What is up, my loves? Welcome back to this week's episode where we are going to be talking about something just a little bit different. We are going to be talking about why I decided to break up with my IUD. Now, I know this video is going to be watched by mostly females. However, that's exactly what I want. I am trying to target a different audience because I myself am stepping way more into my feminine, and I want to call out to my feminine ladies out there, and I want to know what you want to hear more about. However, I heard you loud and clear when I posted a story the other day about me breaking up with my IUD. It kind of looked a little something like this. However, I was not prepared by the amount of women who reached out to me wanting to know why, if it hurt, why I chose to do it, and what I am using for birth control now. And I figured, what a better way to connect with my lovely ladies out there than to create a whole ass YouTube video for you guys. But obviously through this video, you're gonna learn a lot more about me and maybe things you can relate to. And then there's definitely some things you probably won't be able to relate to at all. However, I do wanna say right here, right now, I am obviously not a medical doctor. I am not a licensed doctor of any kind. So please, whatever sticks, that's amazing. And if it doesn't, let it fall to the side. Take what you need and leave the rest. So what exactly is an IUD? What does it look like? And how exactly does it work? Well, there are two types of IUDs that you can get. You can either get a hormonal one or you can get the copper one. So for me personally, I went with the hormonal one because of a multitude of different reasons. However, there is the copper option, which is a much more natural one. But if you do have heavy periods already and cramping, this one is not the ideal choice for you because it apparently makes things substantially worse. However, if your periods are chill and lax, the copper IUD might be the way for you. For us, my doctor let me take my personal IUD home with me, specifically so I could show you guys and because I'm a giant weirdo and I wanted to keep it. So this tiny little baby that releases the hormone actually stops the uterus lining from thickening, making it a not great environment or not suitable environment for an egg to become fertilized in or even be released at all. But it also thickens the mucus in the cervix, preventing the sperm from reaching the egg. Now with the IUD, there is less than a 1% chance of you becoming pregnant. And it usually lasts anywhere between 5 to 8 years. Now, I know the copper IUD, I believe, is 10 years, but don't quote me on that. Obviously, I didn't just decide to take the IUD as my first form of birth control. I landed here somehow, some way. And I've been on birth control for 15 years, people. I am 29. I started taking the pill when I was like 13, 14, and it wasn't for the best reasons. Hell, I started taking birth control because your girl wanted boobies, and I heard that men like boobies and that if I took the pill, I would grow them because the hormones would kick me into puberty, which obviously I was insane, and clearly my mother did not approve of this, and she didn't even know. I took my cute little boot and I walked down to Clinic with a K, which is a clinic that we have in my home city, Winnipeg. And they are absolutely lovely people, and they did not know that this was my intention because obviously I disguised it like I was a young girl having sex. So they did what they needed to do, which was to teach me how to have safe sex and how to protect me from pregnancy. And I asked for birth control. So you bet your ass I hopped on that pill, and guess what? The titties never came. But I will tell you what did come: craziness, and then reckless sex. Because I was also unmedicated for my ADHD because I decided that even though I was diagnosed when I was 8, I can just like rock this on my own, and that led to really poor behavior and poor life choices. Fast forward a little bit more, my mom realized I was batshit crazy and that I was taking the pill, and she was like, babe, you should have told me. The pill made me crazy, and it also made your sister crazy too. So how about we try something a little bit different? So what I tried was the Nuvaring, which essentially looks like the glow stick that you put on your wrist. You keep it in the fridge, but you insert it into your vagina, and it just chills up there for almost a whole month, and then you pull it out for a week, and then you have your period. However, this is where shit went wrong. I decided that, hey, if I leave this in a little bit longer, I don't get my period, and then I can have sex whenever I want. Little did I know that obviously the hormone runs out. So I think I was I don't know, 18, and I had an oopsie. And that oopsie is a whole nother story for a whole nother video because I don't feel like talking about that today. And when I went for my procedure, they gave me an option of a birth control that I literally could not F up, and it was the IUD called the Mirena. When I first got the IUD, I was already in a really weird place, so my hormones were kind of chaotic because I went from being pregnant to not being pregnant, and I was totally in a panic crisis mode just in all places in my life. So that one we're not really going to talk about because I don't really think it applies because of the procedure and the other things that happen when you get the procedure mixed with the hormonal birth control, yada, yada, yada. You get what I'm trying to say. Fast forward another 5 years, I was like, yo, that birth control was a bomb. I had little to no symptoms, and guess what? I never got my period, which is something that I was trying to avoid from happening. So I figured, why not get another one? So this one, I got 100% sober in a clear state of mind. I went into the doctor. We found out my uterus was retroverted and that we needed special tools to take it out. So I got referred to the gynecologist. From there, she removed the birth control and put in a new one, and I rocked around with it for another 5 years. No complaints, no period, no spotting. However, I will say I did have all of the period symptoms. I had low back pain, my nipples were killing me. Literally, my shirt would touch my chest and I would cringe, like no. And then I would get like random weird cervical spasms and cramps, but you know, normal period things, crying, whatever. But to be honest, you guys, I wasn't really paying attention to my cycle at all. I wasn't taught very much about my cycle in the first place. So I knew a period came every month, which meant that I had maybe some spotting, maybe I wouldn't have a period, because the IUD in my eyes at the time was doing its job. It was not getting me pregnant, and it was keeping away my period, because that's truly all I cared about. I just wanted cream pies for my partner at the time and to not have a baby, and I did not want to bleed. Okay, so there was not really high standards here, but there was nothing wrong with the birth control at all. Now, fast forward to 2 years ago, this is when my birth control was roughly about to expire, and I decided to push it a little further because new studies came out saying that Mirenas can actually be kept in for 8 years instead of just 5 years. Obviously, the hormones get weaker and you're running more of a risk, but there is tons of studies out there saying that it can be kept in for 8 years. So that gave me a little bit more time with my Mirena that round. But that's when I became way more aware of my cycle, what I was missing out on in life, and why I was burning out all the time in my business. And there was all this talk about how birth control was terrible and that if you're a woman on birth control, you need to get off of it like right now. This is detrimental to your health. You know, all this shame coming at you for being on some form of birth control, which was absolutely wild because I had one side of my brain telling me like, Miranda, like you need to be on birth control. You're not really responsible and we don't want that mistake to happen again because that was traumatizing. But on the other side, I'm very health conscious and I'm like, oh, there's all this new stuff coming out about birth control and how it's not good for you and how it changes you and yada, yada, yada and all this stuff. And then I have externally people telling me that no, I'm on birth control to come off the pill and that I'm an awful person for being on the pill. So there's so much mental chatter going on that by the time it came to take out my birth control, I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do. So I actually had a meeting, or I actually had a therapy appointment, And I sat down and talked to my therapist and I explained what was going on, and she specializes in neurodivergence, which I am on the spectrum, so I needed help reeling this in and trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do without everyone else's opinion. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we decided that worst case scenario, I can put it in and I can always pull it out. But for now, we both thought it was best for me to keep it in and to get another one. So ultimately, at the end of the day, why I ended up taking out my IUD is because I wanted to step more into my feminine energy, and I wanted to truly feel what it felt like to be a woman again. Because I had denied my period for 15 years. I didn't even know what my natural cycle is. I don't even know what it feels like to bleed through a full period. I have suppressed it for so long. Meanwhile, I have been denying part of the beauty of being a woman, part of something that is so beautiful that will allow me to level up in my career if I just start embracing what it means to be a female. Because this whole time I have been pushing forward with my masculine energy, and that has led me to, like I said, burnout repetitively over and over and over again. So by removing my IUD, it allows me to figure out where I am in my cycle and actually track things so that I can figure out which phase I'm in without hormones altering them that are not coming from me and my body. Because when we track our cycle, we can enhance our time management, our productivity, our creativity, and so much more. But ultimately, I came off the IUD for this reason, not because of side effects, not because I'm trying to get pregnant. Like, y'all are crazy. All the dudes on Instagram that saw that story go live, they were like, oh no, no more cream pies. I'm like, bro, don't even. You don't even understand what it means to be on birth control. Don't even get me started. Also, this is like the best time for me to trial something like this because I'm 29 years old. I think I want kids in the future. My partner and I right now are long distance. I really only get to be sexually intimate with him every 2 months for like 2 or 3 days, depending on what we kind of get approved for. So I'm just gonna plan those visits or conjugal visits according to my cycle when everything is coming through as the same after these next 3 months, because they say it takes about 3 months for your hormones to naturally come back down. So yeah, like 99.9% of the time, I'm not having sex, and I won't be having sex like that for the next year. So now is the time for me to like figure this out while I'm not worried about getting pregnant. So a lot of you guys also wanted to know what form of birth control I am using now. Now, if you didn't get that from my last one, obviously, I am cycle tracking. So the same thing that you would use to get pregnant, I'm using to not get pregnant. So those green days that people see on their fertility apps and whatnot, those green days are my red days because those are the days that I could possibly get pregnant and it's at the highest chance of pregnancy, which I'm trying to avoid. So either I'm gonna not have sex or I'm gonna be protected AF, meaning no, there is no pull-out method being done. We are doing this properly. But cycle tracking isn't just enough. I'm also doing the ovulation strips, which are an ovulation strip that you pee on. I got mine off of Amazon. They're like way better. You can buy them in bulk and then you're not paying like 30 bucks for 5 at the drugstore. So I'm gonna link that down below too. And pretty much that just detects the LH hormone, the luteinizing hormone in your urine. So it will tell you when you are ovulating or when the egg is being released and the best time to get pregnant or the worst time for you to have sexes. On top of that, I also bought the Apple Series 9 watch, which you can use to track your fertility or your cycles using natural cycles or the app called Cycles, which I will also link them down below too. This also takes your basal temperature. If you don't know what that is, that's totally fine. I didn't know what that was either. But that's gonna be your lowest body temperature after your period reset. I'm gonna give you guys the cycle temperature that you should be looking at before ovulation and after ovulation. When you are taking your basal body temperature, you are taking it at the same time every single day and before you get out of bed, and you do not want to miss it. That is why I got the Apple Watch, and I'm also gonna be using a thermometer for the first little bit to kind of gauge what the heck is going on and to see if this bitch is actually accurate or I just blew $600 for nothing. Now, if you don't wanna buy the Apple Watch and you already have your own smartwatch, maybe something like the Oura Ring would be a really good investment because I know they too use temperatures to track fertility as well. Anything else on the market, I don't really know if there's enough research out there, but the Oura Ring and the Apple Watch are the two that I looked into the most. However, I do want to add that sperm can live in you for up to 5 to 7 days Okay, so when you are cycle tracking and you are taking your basal body temperature and your ovulation sticks and whatnot, this still does not mean it is safe to take a cream pie. There's like a very small window where it is a moderately safe to take that cream pie, and that's your risk that you want to take, honey. But I'm out here not trying to have a baby, but I probably will try it a couple of times, but we will see what the cycle tracking says and how it happens. Now quickly, I do want to cover the stats on other forms of birth control or preventative things that you can use as birth control. So the pull-out method, which a lot of us like to use, is actually only 22% out of 100. So you're 22% likely to get pregnant. This next one is solely just doing fertility tracking, which is only 24%. The male condom sitting at 18%, the pill and the ring sitting at a 9%, and the injection sitting at a 6%. So as you guys can see, the IUD, the implant, and essentially tying your tubes are gonna be your best form of contraception. So a common question that filled my DMs is, did it hurt to get put in and did it hurt to get taken out? I'm gonna be real with you guys, this is 100% subjective, okay? Because everybody is completely different. All I can say is for me, no, it didn't hurt getting it put in and it did not hurt getting it taken out. I have done it 3 times now. There is some slight cramping. Sometimes you can have a little bit of bloody discharge after it has been taken out and switched in for a new one. But on the side of things that I have experienced, it's honestly been some just light cramping. You can totally take some Advil before. In fact, they even actually recommend that. And yeah, honestly, I usually do some breath work before I go in just to bring my nervous system down so that I'm not vibing at an anxious level. But for me, it is not that bad at all. But I mean, like, I also am covered in tattoos. So if it was bad and unbearable, I wouldn't have got it 3 times. Anyways, I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. I hope that this answers some of your questions. If you have any questions or want me to cover a different video, please drop them in the comments down below. I want to start doing more content for my ladies. I want to start doing like more workout videos, more get ready with me's, more just like life updates in general. I'm trying to build an audience that is not just transactional. Like, I want to have a connection. I want to view you all as an extension of like friendship. So if you have anything that you want to suggest or see more of, please also drop that in the comments down below. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. All right, babies. Thank you for tuning in and listening to me talk about breaking up with my IUD. Cheers, babas.